in a couple of seconds. Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey,
We talk we for the last, well, let's say the past 30 years we've been talking about a lot of stuff, right? And also what we did, we have a habit of calling each other, I would say every day. And I think this is the first time that we actually are recording this. So what's the topic for today?
yeah, well, I want to talk about AI
Mhm.
and the aging process of Black people as opposed to other races.
Okay. That's interesting. But you said it because of something we're doing with Jimi Hendrix, right? Because you made a remark about, yeah, well, the pictures that I'm seeing about Jimmy aging, if he would have still lived, he would have been 82 approximately. And the aging process that these pictures depict are not the same as he would do because he's black, right?
Right, exactly. You know, white people age completely different than we do.
Sure.
And I'm gonna bet, as we say, dollars to donuts, that who's ever doing the aging process is white.
Yeah,
With AI.
AI is white. AI is white
Yeah,
orient for sure.
yeah. Period. So I would think that they would age a person as they would see them as white, not
Mm,
as black.
mm,
And I brought up a good representation of that is your own mother.
yeah.
If a white person aged your mother at 82, she would not look like what she looks like right now.
Hmm.
So this all comes about that I'm going I'm going to be playing the part of Jimi Hendrix in this theater show.
Yeah.
And you said to me, yeah, man, but you don't look 82. Even though I'm 72. And I don't even look 72. So I think these images we see of Jimmy from AI
Mhm.
aging him are not necessarily correct. And we should not build our expectations of how he should look like based on these images, because I think these images are incorrect.
I agree. I agree completely. And it, what the idea behind that is we're trying to figure out what exactly would work, what age, the image. Of course, we're not gonna get it because you're not Jimmy, and you don't look anything like him. But in the whole process of trying to figure out uh, a character or image or a visual that will not take too much away from the 27-year-old to the 82-year-old. That's if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the ironic twist about it, he looked old for his age.
Yeah, doing all that drugs that
Jimmy
no.
looked Jimmy looked every bit of 40
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
at
Absolutely.
27,
Yeah.
but he was a wrinkle.
No, nope, nope.
He was a wrinkle, and that's what AI tends to wrinkle you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't wrinkle. We just get wisdom in our face, and
Yeah,
that's different. So it's the wisdom behind the eyes that lets you know how old a black person is.
true. True that.
The eyes are the windows to the soul.
Yeah.
So, that kind of deal. But so I think um, Jimmy had this thing that I've seen in other people. I've seen people when they're 16, they look 40. And when they're 80, they look 40. They age to a certain point and they stop. And it doesn't go any further. But they can age quickly. You know, I have pictures of someone that I know when she was 15. She's now 57. But she looked in her 50s when she's 15. So it's like she didn't change. And her father did the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the aging process is so individual. You know, I mean, of course, you know, the masses have some similarities in common, but I think we should really focus more on his mannerisms, the way he speaks, and his thinking process. Because he basically spoke like a space cadet. You know, he was out there. You couldn't get a straight answer from Jimmy.
Yeah.
I've never heard the man give a straight answer to anything. He always came at it sideways and under and over it and around it and through it, but never a straight yes or no answer from him. And I think that more of the essence of his persona was, I'm thinking outside the box. He's always thinking outside the box. And he played his guitar like that.
Well, you play your guitar ups and down. That makes you for sure think out of the box. That's a given, right?
Yeah, what has been my experience, I have never met a left-handed person who thought like right-handed people. They do things differently. They approach things differently. I have a left-handed daughter, and she approaches things completely different. One of my favorite guitar players of all time, other than Jimmy, plays guitar like nobody. He has his own way of playing because he sees things. It's almost like a form of dyslexia. He sees things in a different way. And Jimmy was left-handed, and then you put all the hallucinogenics into his system. You don't know what the hell you're dealing with in that way.
Yeah.
So
I hear. Yeah, so if just a little bit let's go back a little bit about the AI and the aging process. So okay, so we'll take that as a given, and then we will not focus too much on. Okay, let's be specific. The way you looked on the picture you showed me, the image you try to show us, I thought that was a young looking person. And that maybe that had to do with the hair. I don't know, but I envisioned maybe a head, that type of image. But that's me, basically putting it back to what I saw Curtis was wearing. You know what I mean?
I think it's interesting that you attribute a hat to aging.
Yeah. Older people wear hats.
Yeah. That's very interesting that you would attribute that, and I can actually see it because in my generation, older people wore hats, but young people did too because it was hip.
Yeah.
When I was in the 70s, all the pimps wore hats, and they weren't old, but they all wore hats.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a certain period where hats were a standard attire. So part like people wore, like let's say in the 40s, 50s, people wore suits. Even if you didn't have enough money, you wore a suit and you wore a hat. That was the adult look.
Yeah.
Yep. In Holland, it was the same. I see pictures of people here walking down the street, and everybody had a long coat, a hat, and a suit. They basically dressed the same.
Right. Right. But I think even today, hats are part of the attire. It's just now baseball caps or a hoodie. A hoodie is like a form of a hat.
Mm.
So they're very prominent in how men portray themselves.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, I see that. I see
You
that.
know,
I think that's more diversity and differentiations, if that's a right word, with the, let's say, the younger people, let's say up until 20, they have a certain dress code with a hoodie or a hat, baseball cap, and then till 30, 40, they have a different, some people, but it's not a uniform thing. That is what I see. If I
but
look at my friends, Brian always wears a cap, like a baseball cap. And I have my bowler hat that I put on, but the majority does not do that. A hat is not a standard attire. It's not a like a uniform, like what I was saying about the 40s and the 50s. Almost every in Holland, looking back at the pictures, I think even in the States, maybe a little bit further away, people were that type of, this is what a grown-up man should wear. And if you did not do that, you were standing out. That's crazy, right?
yeah, absolutely. And as you move through different parts of the country, let's take Texas, for instance. Everybody wore a hat in Texas. It
Hats
was
and
just, it was part of the attire.
hats and cowboy shoes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
cowboy boots,
Mm.
absolutely. And let's not underestimate that if you short,
Mm.
if you a shawty, a hat can help give
Oh
you a
yeah.
little bit of height.
I didn't think of that. I never thought of that, but it does give an extra 10 to 15 centimeters.
Absolutely, it makes you more attractive to the females.
Oh, is that it? That's what I've been getting.
Yeah. And a little more threatening to somebody who's trying to run up on you.
Okay.
Yeah. A hat. You put on some high heel cowboy boots and a hat.
Mm.
You'd be 6 feet tall when you 5'10". You know what I'm saying? You,
Yeah.
you take that hat off and them shoes off, you're like, get your little ass away from me. But yeah, the whole hat thing. And the type of hat that Jimmy wore is hard to find these days because that was a really 70s, 60s kind of style of hat. People now, because of the country thing, are wearing more cowboy hats than the pimp hat.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
like Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah, that type of,
that kind of hat is not that easy to find unless you're in Texas,
yeah.
or Oklahoma, somewhere in the West or Southwest or the Midwest. You can find a hat like that. But then again, we're
Mhm.
missing one important thing about that hat: rain.
Mm. Yep.
Hats were especially for cowboys.
Yeah. Protection.
Protection against the elements, man. You're
Yeah.
out there riding out in
Mm.
the elements on a rainy day where it don't stop raining.
Mhm.
Boy, hat is essential
Yeah.
to keep the rain off your head.
Yeah, when I think about so this theater, musical theater, actually it's a multidimensional process, a project that we're doing. And when I'm looking at the idea to stay as close to things that people will recognize or won't recognize, it's the imagery. And if you, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but if you stray too much away from that image, it will be hard to connect to the persona. And so what I'm looking for is, I'm going to just give you the view that I have now. Let's say you take one of his most iconic pictures that he's well known for. It will be with a hat, with like either a metal ring on it, right? That you, I think when I saw you the first time you had it, and Curtis had one as well. And that's like a rope, or not a rope, a shawl tied to it. That's the standard type of image that he had, right?
Yeah, you know, with Jimmy, two things are associated with him clothing wise: a scarf,
Mm-hmm.
a headband,
Yeah.
and a hat.
Yeah.
So you can do either or and instantly bring up an image of Jimi Hendrix. You can do both. Sometimes he wore a scarf under a hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a scarf or a hat is very essential in the image that, of course, in bell bottom pants. But
Uh-huh.
if you sit down for an interview, the bell bottom pants are not going to be that uh, important.
Yeah, well, if you look at the setting that we have here, right? The idea is that's going to be an interview, and you're going to, and we're going to perform. So you're going to
Right.
be standing up, sitting down. Maybe the thing is, how many is the interview going to be prior to the performance, or are we going to take parts? Maybe two parts, like before the break, one interview, and after the break, another interview,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Because I don't think you could. Yeah, well, you can do whatever you want, but I don't know if it would work if you would break up every 15 minutes and go do a, well, it could have worked. Then it's like a talk show. You know, these talk shows when they have, yeah, they talk for 10 minutes. Hey, let's do a live music. Bam. And they play a couple of songs and then they do an interview again. So it's not a concert type of deal.
yeah. That talk show format was followed after Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had David Letterman, and then you had the Tonight Show with Jay
Yeah.
Leno, and
Dick Cavett.
Jimmy Kimmel and
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien. They
Mhm.
all pretty much follow that format.
Yeah.
You come out, you play a song, you go to the couch, and you talk a little bit, you play another song, and then next guest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of deal. It was a very funny. Um, I think it's Dick Cavett
Uh-huh.
is interviewing Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix at some point just starts staring at a plant during the interview. It's like, Jimmy, and he's totally into this plant.
Yeah,
But
he was on
let's talk about
something.
something that happened last night. I sent you some footage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh shit. Mm. Yeah, I saw
What?
it.
What?
Huh?
You saying, oh shit? What?
Yeah, I said I saw it. I saw the
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
Now, and I was surprised you didn't know that he played with Wilson Pickett, because one of the most famous interviews, if we can find it,
Mm.
Johnny Carson had Little Richard, Wilson Pickett,
Mm-hmm.
and Jimi Hendrix on the same show.
All right. Okay. You know what? You keep on talking. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. So they had Jimi Hendrix, Little Richard, and Wilson Pickett on the same show. And Little Richard went into full Little Richard. He came out in an evening gown,
Mm-hmm.
a
Okay.
backless pink evening gown, and started calling himself the Georgia Peach.
Oh, yeah,
and how beautiful he was.
yeah.
And Wilson Pickett got annoyed.
Mm,
You know, he was basically saying, sit your faggot ass down. And then Little Richard, who never backed down from nobody, started telling Wilson Pickett, you know, fuck you. And
mm,
then they start going at each other. And Jimmy is just sitting on the couch. And he slowly gets up, walks over to his amplifiers during the show,
mm.
walks over to the amplifiers, puts his
Yeah.
guitar on, turns his amp up as loud as he can, and starts playing. In the middle of the argument, in the middle of the interview.
And who was the host?
Dick Cavett. I think it was the Dick Cavett show. It was either Dick Cavett or Johnny Carson, because those were only two shows at that time.
I think it must be Dick Cavett because
Because my man just started playing while Little Richard and Wilson Pickett were fighting.
okay, so they're at the same because I'm seeing Dick Cavett now, but I'm not seeing.
So it's really
Hold on. Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can share this. Yeah, man, it's really interesting when you dive into these things, right?
Yeah, man. It's oh.
Nope, that's not the right
Oh,
one.
there you are.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I think, was not really into a whole lot of drama. He tried to avoid that. That's why he never got married and things like that. But according to Curtis,
Mhm.
Jimmy was a practical joker.
Yeah.
He loved to play jokes on people. He loved to tell stories. He was very vocal and not the quiet, very withdrawn person that he portrayed himself to be. He was basically the life of the party.
Yeah, well, we see a lot of videos where he is the life of the party, and could it also be that he had different personas? You know, in certain settings he was this type of guy, and in another setting he was that type of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard a story where that when Jimmy did acid for the first time,
Hmm.
most people could do one hit of acid and they would go on a psychedelic trip for
Yeah.
8 hours.
Hmm.
The first time Jimmy did acid, he took 18.
Yeah.
18 and
Mm.
could still talk to you.
Yeah, well, he was certainly a different type of cat. Dino has joined us.
yeah, yeah.
And so what we're doing, Dino, just to give you a heads up, where our normal talks that we do almost once a day, right, Nikki, or sometimes twice a day, we decided to just have those talks, but then in this case talk about Jimmy in this setting and stream it and give people a little bit of insight where we come from and what are we doing and why are we looking forward to doing this project. So Nikki and I were talking about Jimmy's basic aging process,
Mm-hmm.
and that when we use AI gives us the narrative from a Caucasian, and he left. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still there because I'm just getting a telephone call. I have to just refuse this one.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, that's where we started, but now we are at the part of Nikki saying that Jimmy did acid for the first time and he did 18 hits. I never did acid, and I cannot imagine having heard about people doing acid and they do one hit and it's it's like they fly off and then doing. Did you say 17 or 18, Nikki?
18.
Oh,
Wow, it's crazy, man.
just excuse me, Joan. Kan je even Romy zeggen dat ik even in gesprek ben, dat ik haar hard terugbel, want ze blijft me bellen. Ja, kan je dat even voor me doen, ja? Oké. Oké, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So, you're live in all over the world now. What is your take on that whole asset thing? Is it even possible to have 18 hits and this still function?
Asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking, just asking.
Okay, well, I can't tell because I never used drugs, and I've never used drugs in my life, so I can't give you an answer about that. But it's pretty heavy, 18. But I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert in that field.
Yeah. Niki, what? So your story. Finish the story, Niki. Because
I actually witnessed somebody do 17 hits of acid.
Okay.
For his 17th birthday. And in the United States, we have these electrical towers that are the same size of a high-rise apartment complex, because the electricity in the States is above ground rather than underground. So you have these huge towers with electrical wires running throughout the country. They found this guy on top of one of those, screaming, "Oh, wow, oh, wow." A helicopter had to bring him down. And that was from 17 hits of acid. But if my memory serves me correct, Eric Clapton told this story of how many hits he witnessed Jimmy take. And Jimmy was fine. But I think psychedelics are like anything else. Like Dino, I've never done a drug in my life. I've never drank alcohol. I've never had a beer. I never had wine. I never smoked a cigarette. I've never taken an aspirin. I'm completely and totally drug-free my entire life. I don't even drink coffee, so I'm caffeine-free. I'm completely free of all stimulants or whatever. But I have seen people throughout my life use these drugs in very interesting ways. I had a guitar player who would take a quarter hit. He would take a hit of acid and split it into 4 pieces. And he would take a quarter hit a day. And he says, the trees were a lot greener and the flowers were a lot more red and everything was a lot more vibrant for him. And it helped him in his creative process. But I think all of these use of drugs can be achieved naturally, because if you couldn't achieve it, you wouldn't achieve it. The drugs just opens the door that you can't open, but that doesn't mean that door is not there. And people who know me know that I don't take drugs, but they say I behave like a person who's high because I'm constantly playing music all the time. All the time. I play 8 hours a day, every day. I'm playing now.
That I know.
and well, Winston has a story when I came to his house and I spent the night.
Well, I'll tell the story because actually we were supposed to go. So I think I picked you up at your house in Amsterdam, and we're supposed to go and practice for 2 days in my house in The Hague. So we planned that out. So we came to my house, actually, the studio I'm in, and I hooked up Niki to a sound system, and I went upstairs, and he started to play. And actually, he played for, I think, at least 4 or 5 hours straight, didn't say a word to me. And we did practice that day. and I saw him being in his zone, and I said, you know what, let me feed this guy before he passes out. And I fed him some noodles, I think it was, and he ate. And so the next day we started, and I think he played till he fell asleep. Yeah, I know you're autistic like that. That's how I call it, because you can't help it. You just yeah, you and your guitar. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, it's a different story. I play, let's say, every moment I'm awake, I'm playing within my head, and it's a different story. Because normally that's also why a reason why I didn't finish school, because I didn't study. And when you study conservatory, you have to study. They tell you have to study 8 hours a day. That's a common thing. But I didn't study, never studied, because everything is happening in my head. But I can play what is in my head. I don't have to study that. I just play it. It just happens for me. It's a natural thing. And of course, you have to play a bit to keep up the practicing is, to me, is for, how you call it, for the technique. Because this is, the studying is to make the things work. If you don't have the technique, you can't play it. So that's why sometimes I study enough in that sense when I hear something that I can play it. But really studying, I have never done that. For me, it's a natural thing.
So how did you play with? How did you do with when you play with Jan Ackerman?
It's just happening. It's just happening. Jan was a person that he sometimes he just come in the dressing room. He said, "I've got a song in his head." Then he plays a song like 17 chords in a row. Or even when we rehearse something, when we are on stage, it doesn't happen because he forgot what he have rehearsed. That I have to tell him, no, it was not like that. He just play and you follow.
Well, you know, there's a difference between studying and playing.
Mm-hmm.
I play because I like the sound.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, I never study either. I just play because I like hearing it. I like what I hear. And most musicians that I know who are very accomplished, they have their own radio station in their head.
Mm-hmm.
There's music in your head constantly. Constantly. It never shuts off.
Never.
Never. It's always there, you know, and sometimes I'm having conversations with my partner, and she'll say to me, Niki. I'm like, what? She goes, you're humming a song again. Because I'll be talking to her and I'll say, yeah, that's and she said, what the song is going, you know, because there's always a song going in my head. Always.
Mm-hmm.
If I could record everything that goes through my head, I would have millions of songs. Because I have my own radio station of my own thoughts of music that probably turned on from the day I was conceived. And it never shuts off. And I know a lot of musicians like that. Not, if I'm correct, that's what you're saying, Dino. There's always music in your head. It's just always there.
It's always in your head. But I try to also say that it is when you sit down and to play and practice a bit. For me, I'm talking in my case, is that you need the technique to put it through the ear. Let's put it like, if you hear a song, if you don't know where the notes and stuff is, you can't play it. You can hear it, but if you don't know where it is and how you have to do it, you can't play it. So that's what I say, that sometimes I just practice 1 hour, one time, just to keep my hands, that when I want to play something, that I can do it. But it's not that I practice all the time to play, because I know people like that who's doing that the whole day. And at the end of the time, at the evening, they only play what they have practiced the whole day, and tomorrow the same thing, tomorrow, because they play what's in what they practice with the fingers. They play the muscle memory, because they practice that lick or just to play the lick. And for me, it's not that way. I can play what I think. But that also means sometimes I can play one thing only one time, because let's say a fraction later, I've forgotten what I've played. Otherwise, I have to know the melody again, then I can play it.
Yeah, and about a month ago, someone I knew who died visited me. And I wrote a song about how someone I knew was missing her. It was a very beautiful song from the perspective of the person who was missing her because she had passed on. And the song was so beautiful and moving, and the lyrics were so sensitive that I knew I would never be able to perform it, because I would just start crying in the middle of it, and I would never finish the song. And I decided to erase that song from my memory during that process. I don't really.
I'm just moving to another place, but I'm listening. I'm just going to
again. I don't really relate to dreams, because dreams for me are visitations into other dimensions. And people call them dreams, but I don't dream, I visit. So while I was in this realm where she and I were, I decided to erase that song. So I couldn't remember it, because I knew I would never be able to perform it. And it worked mostly, but I still remember some of it. But most of it is not there. And so music is, even when I'm doing visitations into other dimensions or realms, music is there. And it's strange to other people that I'm always a musician in the other realms. I've never been anything else. Some people say, yeah, man, I dreamed I was a warrior, and I dreamed I was a this. I have never been anything other than a musician in these other rooms. And what makes me perturbed is that if I told this to a clinically trained psychoanalyst or psychiatrist, they will put me on drugs because they don't understand it. Oh, you have ADHD, or you have this, you have that. No, asshole, you have no creative mind. You have no idea what it is to be a musician. And because you can't relate to it, you decide I'm defective. Which is why I don't listen to psychoanalysts, I don't listen to psychiatrists. They don't have a damn clue. If they can't relate to it, then there's something wrong with you. Hey, maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're not complete. But that's another story.
But just to piggyback on what you said about you and how you are. Okay, I know that's not a human standard, because we are all different. And just to say, you're not the norm. I've been telling you all the time, all the talks that we have, I'm telling you, don't consider yourself the norm, because you're an exceptional person in any form and in any type of way. So if if going by the standard, you would be out of the norm, you will be out of the box. And I can imagine if you had gone through the, the medical system, that they will drug you because you have a different mind to just to get you closer to the norm.
Yeah, the norm is incredibly boring. Being part of a collective is incredibly boring because you are created as an individual. No one has your retina. No one has your fingerprint. Only you. There was no you before you. There will be no you after you. Only you. So why are you trying to make me you when I will never be you? And that is the definition of clinical normal. Let's make everybody the same person. When you're not, you will never be the same person. Allow each person to be the individual that they are, and quit trying to put everybody in the same box. It makes no sense. It's a form of control. I'm going to make all of you the same. So now I can control what all of you think, what all of you do, how all of you react, which is ridiculous. I want you to be put on drugs for even thinking like that.
I agree with you 100%, man. I'm just poking you because sometimes when we talk, you consider yourself to be the norm, and I'm telling you, that's another way of looking at it. It's not. So let's say, for instance, of the fact that you play all day, every day, it's not normal. It's normal for you, but it's not the norm. So if you, with your standard of musicianship or talent, so to speak, would go to a band and say, well, so why didn't you practice 8 hours? They will say, well, I don't have that time. I'm working, or I'm doing something else besides doing. I got to make some money to make a living. And you have a situation where you created your environment to suit your ability and your need to play every day and every day, like we say, right?
Every day.
Every day. But that's not the norm, my friend. We'll be friends for 30 years, and I will keep on saying this. You, Niki Buzz, you are not the norm. And sometimes you have to take in consideration that other people cannot, even if they wanted to, they cannot play and study and have a guitar or a drums, play that instrument every day to come to that level of excellence that you have.
Okay, I can understand that, but I just want to add a little bit to that. There were times in my life where I lived in Beverly Hills, had 2 houses, a Rolls Royce. I had everything, and I played 8 hours a day. And there were times in New York where I was sleeping on the floor in the bottom of a nightclub in the basement with rats and roaches crawling all over me because I had no money, but I still played 8 hours a day. Now, I didn't have to be in that situation. I could have gotten up and got a job. No. It wasn't that important to me. What was important to me is that I wanted to play. So I lived with the rats and the roaches, and actually, you're gonna laugh, but this is a funny story. I lived in a building that has such a rat problem that there were families of rats in your apartment. Literally. So I said, okay, you guys were probably here before me. You have just as much of a right to live here as I do. So here's what we're going to do. we're going to make a deal. This is your corner. You live here. You know, if I have extra food, I'll give you food, or you can find your own food or whatever, but you live there. But you will not chew up my clothes. You will not shit. I will not find little rat turds in my clothes. If I do, I'm going to kill you. And that's how I talk to them. And I ask them, is there anything that you require from me that I don't get on your nerves? And I lived in that apartment for 5 years with those rats, and we lived harmoniously. Now, okay, Niki's nuts. Something's wrong with
No, I just want to ask you what type of drugs you were using to be talking to rats.
No, but see, if you understand.
No, I'm joking, man. I'm
joking.
Yeah,
I know. But most people don't understand all is one and one is all. If you communicate with anything honestly and openly, it will communicate back to you because it's alive. People seem to think that a chair is not alive. It was once a tree, you idiot. If it's a metal chair, it was once iron, which comes from the earth. Everything is alive. We don't create anything. We just rearrange. When people tell me I create, I'm like, you don't create nothing. You rearrange what's already here. And it's alive. I don't care what form you put it in. It's alive, just like you. So when you have mutual respect for everything, you live in harmony. But my harmony was to be able to play 8 hours, not to get a job so I can live in a nice place. And no, I don't care about the nice place. I just wanted to play. Okay, I'm done.
No. Hey, listen, like the way you profess, the way you proclaim the whole story about the rats, that tells us, or actually that tells me where you are with your state of mind. And that this is the reason why you and I can talk all day, every day about everything and anything. Because I can so relate to the state of mind. If you are in a certain situation, you have to accept that situation. If you cannot change that situation, you got to accept it. Otherwise, you're going to be frustrated. And one thing I know about you, I know that you can be frustrated, but that's when you have overtime. When you have time to kill, you're going to be frustrated about something that you cannot control. But other than that, the fact that you lived in like, let's call it the most luxurious situation, or the most impoverished situation, and you still play your instrument, because I think, just going by the esoteric statement that you made, you chose to be in this life to be a musician, period, and nothing else. And I've witnessed that, and I'm witnessing it now. So I think up until you pass over into the other dimension again, you will be playing music. That's what I know.
Yeah, when people say to me about me playing music, I said, music is not what I do. Music is what I am. Okay, enough. Dino, you got something?
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I'm listening to the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I have a question, because I was interested in the, you just go back to, you play with a couple of interesting musicians, Dino, and the other day you and I were talking for 2 hours for the first time, and you basically gave me another insight in your background. And what I loved about our conversation, because it started off one side and it went all the way esoteric, like like now with Niki. And so if I can ask, because I know you as a bass player, right? And in your talk with me the other day, basically you said, yeah, but I don't want to play bass anymore. I'm going to play guitar, or I'm going to sing or compose music. And no, actually you said compose music.
Yeah.
And so what is the inspiration that you are using to, is that the radio in your head that you have to like document what's coming out, and what's your production system? How do you do that?
Uh, uh, you know, when I was playing with all these other artists, let's take Jan in this case. Yes, I used to tell him all the time that there is something in me, but I don't know yet what it is. But I know there is something. If you ask him this question, he's going to tell you that. Because I used to say there is something, but I can't lay my hand on it. And that's years going. And one day I was in France on holiday, and then on I think it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I was just waking up, or I just hear something in the distance. Bam, bam, and it was going on. Bam, bam, constantly like that. Then suddenly it was like, there is my answer. There is the answer. The moment I was not looking, all the time I was looking for it, I couldn't find the answer. And the moment I was lying there, not looking for it, I was just sleeping. I just woke up and the answer came to me. And I say, that's it. The thing I was looking for, and I swear to God what I'm telling you now, the answer came. The thing was all the time in my hand, but I didn't know that it was in my hand. At that moment, I became enlightened about that, because all the things are in your hand. Sometimes they are in you, but you don't know. That was discussed last time. And this was a very important moment in my life, telling, yeah, man, there is something I'm looking for, but I don't know what it is. And that's what happened in the distance. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I never tell anybody what it is. I think it's part of my spiritual life, because maybe that works for me, but maybe it doesn't work for the other person. But for me, that thing was that it told you, it was in your hand all the time. And it was in my hand, because I produced everything with his hand, but I couldn't make the connection in my brain. It was a very, 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 very important moment in my life. And since then, I could connect in a different way to myself. I know it was happening, but I couldn't connect the things around me. Since I had that, I could connect everything that's around me. If it's a musician or what else, I could materialize things, you know.
But they're gonna come lock your ass up too.
Yeah, maybe. No, but
yeah, because this kind of talk scares people who are highly educated but have no spiritual insight. We had a word for that in my neighborhood. It was called an educated fool.
Mm-hmm.
You only have book knowledge. And the book knowledge you have is because somebody wrote it down and said it's true. Which I found as a child very strange. Why should I believe 2 + 2 is 4 because you said so?
It's a way
I can prove it. No, you can't prove it. You make a statement For all I know, 2 plus 2 is 22. Why can't it be 22?
Yeah.
You made it 4. You build your reality around that is 4. So now I have to accept it because you put it in a book and a bunch of people agree to it.
Yeah, but you must see that more as a way of stuff that's written down. It's a form of, we discussed it before, also in terms of writing down musically. It's a way of communicating. You have certain ways to communicate. That's why they call the E string. They call the E string because if they tell you they have to tune your 6th string. Some instruments have 6, and you have different tuning. But they can tell you tune your instrument in E because, for instance, E has a certain frequency. It's there. That's not that is has not that has this has to do with the natures of law. That certain frequencies is that.
But the problem is not communication.
Yeah, but no,
it's not communication. It's believing the communication, accepting the communication.
No. I'm talking about when you say 2 plus 2 is that's an agreement we make to each other. If you say 2 and 2, if you say 2 multiple by 2, that's something else. You make the words to communicate among each other.
But if I don't have to accept it all. It's not communication. I don't have to accept it. And people try to make you accept it. Just because you say it and just because you communicate it doesn't mean I have to accept it.
Well, maybe
accept it. I mean, not accept it. Accept it.
Maybe I can jump in.
It doesn't mean I have to accept it just because you say it.
Yeah. Maybe I can jump in.
Let me tell you something. If I ask you now, Niki, give me 200 euros. What are you going to do? Are you going to give me 100?
You're missing the point.
You're going to give
That's not the point.
Huh? No, it's the point.
The point is not communication.
It's the point. The 200 is 2.
Guys, let's talk one at a time. Otherwise, we won't be able. The people won't be able to hear.
Yeah, the 2 is if I say give me 3, give me 4. It's a way. It's a norm. It's a way to communicate. I could say, okay, when I say to you, give me 10, then you give me 20. That's the appointment you make. If I say give me 5, then you give me 2 times 5. You say if I give you 2, that means it's appointment we make. It's an agreement. Let's say a global agreement. 2 is 2, 4 is 4. And if we say 2 plus 2 is 4, if we say 2 minus 2 is 0, 2 minus 2, it's you have signs and stuff for that. Of course, tomorrow they can find something else out, but then you make a agreement about it, and so that's how you have to see what's happening. I understand what you mean, but so you have to see the way. Otherwise, it would be chaos if we can't communicate with each other. If we do it by let's say agreements we make among each other, that 2 is 2 or 4 is 4. That's a very simple thing. I don't have to agree, but if somebody say, hey, you have to give me $4 million, and then I gave him 8 million, then the man is cuckoo because I asked him 4, he gave me 8. Can you find yourself in that, Niki?
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, communication is not the problem. The problem is me accepting what the communication is. If you ask me for 5 million and I give you 1 million, then that's what I feel 5 million is.
Oh, then I'll kick your ass.
No, hey, I didn't interrupt you, so don't interrupt me. You kick my ass after the conversation.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I often give this example. One man stood up against the world. His name was Galileo. Everybody said the world was flat. Every major scientist in the known world said the world was flat. He says, no, it's round. They put him in prison because he refused to say the world was flat. And he ended up being right. And the entire world was wrong. And that's how I live my life. I will not accept what everybody says is right when I feel it's wrong. And most people don't have the strength or ability to stand up like that. They'll just go along with whatever it is because everybody says so.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about. It's not communicating. You can tell me this and tell me that, and I can listen and you can listen. But neither one of us has to accept it.
Hmm.
But in today's world, you have to accept it or there's something wrong with you. No, there's not nothing wrong with you. You just simply choose not to accept it because you feel it should be something else. That's my point. Done.
Okay.
Well, I'm listening to this interesting conversation between the two of you, and what I'm hearing, if you're able, if you have the ability, or you created a situation that you can be independent of society, so to speak, then you have the choice to do it like that, like Niki's saying. But if you, for instance, you're working in a company, there are certain rules you have to abide by to be able to work there. So you don't have that much freedom to think out of the box. And what I'm hearing you saying, Niki, is, and actually we alluded to that prior to in our conversation, that you created a world where you can play your music and create your own thoughts and create your own reality and have feelings about things, and that are outside the reality of the most of us or most communities. So that's a privilege you created for yourself. And actually nobody can tell you that that's wrong to do, because you're 72 and you're still alive and you're still thriving. So in my opinion, is what Dino is saying is, Dino is saying something from the standard of a community agreement, having agreements to build a society. And what Niki's saying is, hey, okay, I am part of the society, but I don't have to accept everything they say. I can choose when I accept it, or if it doesn't feel right to me, I will not accept it. Actually, that's how I live as well. Some things I just go by, okay, it feels okay, and when it doesn't feel right, I'm gonna go my own way. I think the to have the liberty or the presence or state of mind to have that choice, that's what they call freedom in my opinion.
Okay. I can add something to it. And that's what a lot of people don't know. A lot of you can always say that. Let's say you have, let's say, musicians. A lot of musicians don't know that what kind of instrument you play. If you play a solo instrument, you play a harmonic instrument, guitar, piano. That the most important instrument in the band is the bass. You can nobody. It is nobody in the world who can tell me that it's not so. More, not even the soloist, the guitar player. Nobody can tell me that it's a common. Not the bass is the most important instrument in a band, and I can tell you why. A bass instrument can change the color and the name of when you play a chord. The bass can change, but the guitar can't change that. The bass can change, make a chord sound different. It is a lot of people don't know, because they say, oh, I'm the lead player, or what else. Also, I'm going to put it a little step further. A bass and the drums are the, let's say, if there's a bass and drums functioning in an orchestra, they are the base of the orchestra. If those two people don't function good, the orchestra will be a mess. Then you can have the best soloist, but if the drums and the bass is not good, they will let these people sound like a mess. But you can have a very good bass unit and a drum unit, and somebody who can't really play, you can make them, those two people can make that guy sound like a million, can make the music sound like a million. So these two people, it's like a fundament in a house. If you build a house on a fundament that's not right, it's going to collapse. Then the house can be as beautiful as it is. And if you build a house on a very good fundament, it will never happen. Something will happen to it, that it will capsize or what else. So that is the base, is the root of, and the drums in an orchestra is the root from everything. That's what I want to say about my little saying about, and from that point I have learned by playing with people as a bass player, and in my experiences, the more advanced the people are, if you can go with them in your mind by what you're playing and add to what they are doing, you can enhance what they are doing. But if you don't do it right, you can ruin everything they are doing. And that's my way of thinking to work with other people, that I always say, the people who I work for, I must try to be as good as possible, as far good as I can, as far as I can. Let's be very, that the best as I can to contribute to what they play. If I think they're playing something that can enhance their playing, play it with for them. Then they will feed back to you, hey, shit, man, what you've done there, I cannot, hey, I haven't think about that. Hey, I'm going to use that. And so then you can build and go further. But the moment if you're not able, and I know a lot of bass players are not able to do so, they only learn to play because they only play that because they think that's what they have to play, and they can't think. Let's say they play a root like they don't know that there is so much can be connected to that root node to make it be to contribute. So they focus on only what they're doing, and they forget to build a platform for other people. So it's also that you have to, it's very important that you step out of that role, not only think I'm a bass player, but you have to give a little bit more than that, than only to be a bass player. That's what I have learned during I'm playing music, that people can count on you. And there is something else I've learned in the last time in England, that they tell me, listen, musicians today are not the musicians anymore like we were in the 70s and the 80s. Musicians now are, we meet at the airport and it's, okay, I see you next gig. But in the way back 70s, we used to be like a family. We're not playing, hey, we call each other daily, hey, what's happening, we have connection. But now as the guy comes from the plane and you see them the next, maybe it's about 2 weeks or 3, you see them, there's no connection anymore. And that's also reflects in the music and in the way people play nowadays. A lot of individual people. Things have changed. That's my reflection about things.
Are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay. I'd like to say a couple of things.
Mhm.
I completely agree with you about the bass and the drums. Completely. But on the subject of bass players, there's a difference between a bass player and a bass guitar player.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't know the difference. A bass guitar player is a frustrated guitar player who decided to play bass.
Mhm.
And he literally plays guitar on the bass.
Mhm.
And he completely plays in the high register of the bass and
Mhm.
ignores the basic function of a bass to be the bottom of the sound. And that can be very annoying to a guitar player because
Mhm.
he just gets in the way. He's not playing bass anymore. He's playing guitar on bass.
Yeah.
And that's very annoying.
Mhm.
And the other thing I wanted to say was because of the birth of the internet,
Mhm.
people's attention span is very short. And it actually started with MTV.
Mhm.
When MTV was at its height, it was a cut. Every few frames, they did a cut to another scene.
Mhm.
And then the brain got used to that. And so they can't pay attention no longer than 3 frames. If you look at a movie from the 20s, you could enjoy it.
Okay, yes, I'm back. Yeah. Okay, yes.
Movies from
Yeah.
today, there's a cut every few seconds. And I think that's why people like theater so much, because you don't have that anymore.
Mhm.
You have to sit there and look at the same thing for a period of time.
Mhm.
And I found that also, talk about the family thing. In America, if you're in a band, you live in the same house. Band means family.
Yeah.
A band of people is a family. So the bass player, the drummer, the lead singer, everybody lived in the same house. We lived together as a family. This guy don't live over here. This guy don't live there. You want to go to rehearsal? Go to the basement. That was your rehearsal spot. You live in the same house. You made a rehearsal studio out of the basement. You got up, you did your thing, you went downstairs and rehearsed. That's why American bands always sound superior. They sound superior to the other bands because they live together. That's what the word band means, to be and live and operate together. I've never seen that in Europe. Never. And to me, it shows. And I found the same thing in England as well.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
England, bands lived in the same house, but not in Europe. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Winston?
Okay.
Yeah, well, hey, it's a I'm the guy that will explain a lot of things that I understand. The situation in the States and for instance in England. Let's keep it to the States because that's a more dramatic difference between how musicians are treated. If you don't have something to fall back on in the States, that's you're living, you are either a musician or you are not. If you're living as musicians, that means you have to earn money. If you don't earn money, you don't have money. In Europe, you always can fall back on the social security. So that's why musicians in Holland, for instance, they have the call it the luxury to be part-time musician because if they don't make the money as a musician, they will get Social Security. That's one reason why, you know, the fierce competition is not there compared to the States. I heard stories about the States that this guy was called to play. I think it was a studio job, and he had to go to a certain place, and they expected him on a certain time. He wasn't there. Before he was there, they called somebody else because they cannot wait. And while these two guys met in the elevator to go to that to go to the gig, to the studio job, they were talking. Said, "Hey, where are you going?" "Well, you got a studio job here." "Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm a little bit late." And they came there at the same time, and the producer said, "Hey, man, thanks for coming, and you, thanks for not coming by." And they left. That's the amount of competition that you will see in the state, in music, but in general in life in the state. There is a fierce competition in life in the States. We don't see that here in Holland that much. I saw, for instance, another thing when you have in sports or in sports in the, you know, you got these drum bands. You got three people lining up, waiting to fill your spot. If you slip, you're lost. You lost your spot. We don't that fierce competition we don't have here. So I fully agree with Niki when he says that the amount, the level of uh, call it professionality towards music, it's a lot different from the States. That make total sense. Total sense.
Yeah, I, 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 I do understand that. It's something I always telling these guys about. And when I'm trying to explain the music to my children, we've talked about it too, and I try to explain things like that. Uh, it's it's I used to say, you know, I used to tell them, you know why the music in the States is so, when it comes from the States, it's so good because the same thing. It's they have different kind of people doing one thing. They don't also don't depending on the thing, and the competition is hard. Everything has, people have the sound, they have the way they play. In Holland, it's the whole, also the whole in the 70s, maybe had two or three bass players working in the studio, two guitar players playing everything, so everything sounds the same. You have maybe only two drummers. uh, it's a totally different, they don't have the need, didn't have the need for stuff like that too in Holland, because everything is so, it's too small over here. It's not it's not the way it's done in how it's done abroad. In England, it's often another way why the guys used to live with each other, because uh, uh, you know, they also live in one house, because it was like sometimes they have to bond with each other, because otherwise, if I don't have him, the other band will nick him, you know. And when they start playing with each other, they really stay with each other. It really, it's another, it's another, it's a totally different uh, way of doing things. Also, also the way of thinking. It's also have to do with a way of thinking. There were a few groups here in Holland who really make it big, and they used to be like family. You can call like Cuban Blizzards. These guys used to live in a house too. But we're not people from the big towns, really people from Groningen, you know. It's a totally different structure of life. Groups like Golden Earring, the two guys were family because the sister of the one was married to the other one. So, you know, they were brothers-in-law. So it's a totally different dynamic thing what's happening here. And yeah, you have the other parts also again, that things like that wasn't going to happen here, because we were looking what's happening in England and what's America. We were like copyists. And then we have this, oh, I want to be like that. And still that spirit is still here. I want to be like this and I want to be like that. And everybody is fighting because he wants to be like John McLaughlin, or he wants to be, you have 100 Tom Fords or 100 Larry Carltons here. Or you have, from all the big artists, you have 10 looking like it's, so everybody, there is no, how you call it, no unity here. It's totally different way of living. And also then I can take it back to Suriname. It's also a family thing there. Even if they were not living together, we have a different social structure of friendship and how the people relate to each other. Here in Holland, people don't relate to themselves like that they are like bounded. It's the Dutch people have learned a lot of the foreign people, also from Suriname, people who came here, that family things is something else. You know, I don't know what period you came here. When I was living here, is that when you sit down, when you people, the Dutch people, we used to laugh at them when they sit at the table 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and the phone, the doorbell go, then they really put all the pots and pans in the cupboard, and then they don't say, hey, come and join us, let's eat. They didn't have that kind of way of living. Now they change all that kind of things. So I think it's also have to do with the different thinking and the way you your life is socially. Things change now. But okay, we are going a little bit away from the, but it has to do with all this kind of, but as you say, in America, if you are not one of the best, you're going to die, because the government ain't going to give you no shit. And here they beg you to come and get the money if you don't have it. It used to in the 70s and the 60s, but that's over now too, huh? Yes, that's all I want to add.
Well, from 1975 to 1997, I was a studio musician at Planet Studios in New York, where the Village People, Cameo, Shaka Khan, Kid Creole and the Coconuts, the list goes on and on. I played on a lot of records. And the way it went was, you came in, you got one shot. One shot. And if you didn't do it, next. You had to be prepared. You can't come in half-stepping. And I find here in Europe, half-stepping is accepted. It is accepted to make mistakes here. Oh, you make a mistake, so everybody does. That's not accepted in a professional situation in New York. There's no such thing as a mistake. You make a mistake, you're fired. So the level here is already lower, because you don't have to bring it up to that level where you don't make mistakes.
Yeah. James Brown, right?
Right, exactly. James said, when I played with him, he said to me, he says, it takes the exact same amount of energy to play the right note or the wrong note. So why do you keep playing the wrong note? And another quote I like was Ray Charles. He was playing in Vegas, and the guitar player just kept messing up. He stopped the show. He turned around and looked in the direction of the guitar player, and he said, I'm blind. What's your excuse? Just do it right.
Yeah, I heard another story about Ray Charles. I like that funny story. This guy was playing in the bandstand, right? I think it was a horn player, and he was blowing his ass off. He said, Mr. Charles never recognizes me for my good playing. And the guys that was playing with Ray Charles for a long while, he goes, play a wrong note. and, and,
Then I recognize it.
and he recognized you.
Okay, Dino, this is the famous Marcus Miller story, bass player. Everybody who knows bass knows Marcus Miller. Marcus Miller is auditioning for Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So Marcus Miller walks in and Miles Davis says, I want you to play F and then play G. Marcus takes his bass out. He plays every scale, every mode, everything he could between F and G for 15 minutes, sweat pouring down his face. And he looked at Miles. He says, Mr. Davis, I did the best I could. Miles said, now play F, then play G. And he said, that's when I understood. He didn't ask me to play all that. He asked me to play F and play G. And that brings me to the other thing I find here in Europe, the difference. People don't know how to listen or what to listen for. They're never trained. They go to the conservatory and they learn everything but listening. You have to listen. It's not the knowledge you know. How well do you listen in order to place what you know in the structure of the song that you're playing? If I go to 99% of Dutch players, I say, man, play me some blues. You know where they go? What? Every single one of them. No one goes doom, 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 doom. No, because that's what they learned in the conservatory. Cookie cutters, they all play exactly the same thing, and they never learn to listen. If you play a funk guitar riff like this, or go.
We can't hear that, Niki.
And you don't tell a European drummer where the one is, he misses it every time. He can't find it. An American drummer, right away. Oh man, there's the one. Boom. European, nope, he can't find it. And that puzzled me for a long time. Until I reversed the situation.
Yeah, but I have an explanation to that.
Let me finish. I didn't say I was finished.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I reversed the situation, and I was walking down the Nieuwedijk. They had one of those organs. Now, if you hired me to play on that, like what is this? So it's a cultural thing. I was born on the one. They're not born on the one. It doesn't make them unknowledgeable. They just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm finished.
Okay, but that's also to do with American music. Your music, and don't get me wrong, I don't say it's bad or what else. No, it's how you brought up musically. You know, if you listen to, I'm really going to teach you guys something today, because if I ask you how do you dance, how you dance, in what way, Vincent? If you dance, how you dance? Maybe you dance, but you don't know how you dance.
Well, I was brought up by dancers in my family, so how I dance, I don't know exactly what you mean, but my way of dancing to the music is I can dance on the beat, but most of the time I'm playing with the beat when I dance. I hope that's an answer to your question.
Okay, I'm going to tell you in other words what you have explained to me. Now I'm going back to Niki. You know, when you're listening to American music, nowadays it changed a bit, you know. It's like boom, boom. It's like boom, boom. It's like up, down, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a vertical thing. Yes, it's like you play a message, like when you're a director in a band, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, but in my culture, not only my culture, we go to South America, we don't our movement is not only, as I call it, vertical, but we dance horizontal. We move like this. And then boom, you got it? We do it, but we don't know that this is the and that's why it's so rhythmical, because we have all the little parts. But American is like a do check boogie down, boom. You got it? Always, most of the time, like boom to boom to. But you can't dance on funk like boom, and then you go like, like they move to the side. They don't do that. So it's in the genes. We are programmed different. We play stuff so rhythmical.
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
But I said the same thing.
Yeah, but that I say, but you that's the thing in American music. They don't play nowadays. They start getting into that because they listen to the African stuff. I must tell you, my son came with a beat, one of the latest American beats to me. He says, "Listen what the guy is doing with the cymbal." I say, then I say, "Listen, I'm going to play a song of my band from the 70s, and then you will see Lloyd was playing this 50 years ago, and now they play it in America." And then I played it from him. He said, "Oh, yes, because then he came to me like, listen where they put the bass drum. We call it Ascati, Winston.
Yeah.
Maar dat hot no in America. But the Scotchy, the way the beats in between, it's new, it's hot in America. No, but we play that our whole life. And then it comes from America. They say, "Oh man, it's new. It's not the new groove. We play the whole life." And the nice thing about it is, and I can say it from experience, I know a few well-known bass players. When the first time they met me, you know what they asked me? When they talk to me, they say, "Hey, do you know Stanley Clark? Do you know?" I say, "Stanley Clark, yeah, okay, I know the right." But when those people talk to me, you know what they ask me? "Hey, do you know that African bass player? Do you know what the guy is playing?" They only call the great African bass players for me, but they don't, not like here that when they call bass player, they only call the great American players. No, because then these guys who really made it, they have their stuff from somebody else. They listen to the African players, but that normal people don't know. I was doing this gig, and this player was playing something, the Scotchy. I'm going to play on Pikipoku. Then I got this message from America. This producer said, "Man, this guy is playing like Steve Gadd." I said, "Motherfucker, he's not playing like Steve Gadd. Steve Gadd got it from us. He listened to what the guy's playing." And then, the thing he's playing in the the song by
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon. I said, "Motherfucker, no, it's not Steve Gadd. Listen to the music from my country. This is where it came from Africa. And you say it's not America. For you, Steve Gadd is that far in his mind because he went down and listened to all these things. But for you, it's new. But it's a long history over there. And the people who hear that on all the songs they start copying that. They say, "Man, it's Steve Gadd." Bullshit, man. It's not Steve Gadd.
I think it's what Niki just said. It's the cultural thing, and
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this type of conversation that I normally have with Niki. We start off somewhere. We don't know where we're gonna end. But what I love about this part is is when you go back to the roots of, let's call it the cultural thing, what I always found interesting, and I try to dive into it, is what happened to the American culture. Let's call it the Black American culture, because I have to specify it. The Black American culture, that they lost the African part of their musicianship. And when I say that, I mean in Suriname, in South America, and the Antilles, we still have the African part of it. And I just want to put this on the table for us to dive in it. I think it's left in the church, but I'm so curious to listen to what you guys have to say about this. I think it's left in the church, because in the church, when you listen to how they play and how the cadences are, it's more African related than the modern R&B stuff, whatever part of the new R&B or whatever you want to call it, it's not per se related to the African structure of playing music. And in South American Suriname, we got the drums, the African drums, still active in our playing. The rhythmic, polyrhythmic structures are still there, and we also have the cultural and the spiritual attachment to it. And in me saying that, I'm saying that in the States, it's left in the church. I don't know what you guys think.
Okay, let me say, as a man born in 1953, I remember Elvis when he came out. Okay, before that, there was nothing but big band music. Once hip hop came into view, musicians were no longer making music in the States. You had knuckleheads who knew nothing about music playing with devices. They had no idea what they were doing. So they would make a simple thing like,
We can't hear that, Niki.
you can't hear that?
You have to do it verbally.
Oh, all right. To them, they just did something genius. They don't know anything about African roots. They don't know anything about syncopation. These are knuckleheads who know nothing about music, who have no musical talent at all, making hit records. That's what happened to the beat. And it's even going to get worse with AI. Non-musicians making music is what's on the radio now. Non-musicians making music is what's in all of the discos now. Someone has the nerve to say a DJ makes music. No, he doesn't. He doesn't make music. He just shuffles around somebody else's shit. And now that has become the norm. And now you got AI that will write you an entire song. You know what I call AI? Another imposter. Because that's what it is. If someone put an AI version of me saying something, it would be an imposter, not me. AI is another imposter. That's all it is. It will never create because it doesn't know anything about where it came from. AI cannot go into the depths of your soul and get that spark that made it happen for you to write or play something. It will never be able to do that.
Okay, I agree with you.
But you're cutting me off. I'm not finished.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
In a conversation we have, you say I'm done. And then
okay.
And then you talk.
But I'm never done, you know.
Yeah. But the situation is that non-musicians are making music. What they call, they're not making music, they're making noise. They're making untalented, mundane, dumbass noise. And most people are mundane, untalented, and dumbass, so they love it. Now I'm done.
You're done. I agree with you to a certain point, but you must not forget the, how you call it, everything in life. It's this time period. It's this time period, just like how you call the life, like the evolution, you know. And music and what's happening nowadays with the computers. If you didn't have the computers, you couldn't use your logic and all that kind of stuff, you know. And the computers will be better. And now you have this AI. What you've done for me last time, that you put all the things on different track, yeah, I'm very happy with it. But if I hadn't played it, the AI couldn't have done it, you know. So you must see it more like a part of technology, just like nowadays they use, if they have a brain surgery, yes, then with this AI, they can help you a little bit more than a human could help you, because of the computer can really do a little bit, control a little bit more than you as a human. And so it depends on how you use it. If you use this stuff to, like in the industry, that they copy stuff and use in a negative way, not for their pockets, then I say, okay, I can't be happy with it. But it can be a useful toy if you use it in the proper way. That's how I see the AI. But I would not, as a musician myself, as I think, if you're, I won't say that I'm that skillful, but if you're not a skillful musician, it would be a big, great help for you. And then I say, okay, it worked for you, but it wouldn't work for me in the way you are using it. But it's a part of progress, I see it. And I think, try to think in that kind of way of progress. And then the way of the surgery, that's for me progress. Which could save my ass one day and could save your ass one day. I don't hope so, but you know what I mean. I try to say with it. That's my saying about it. So then I'm done in this one.
Yeah, I think the whole AI thing, I think it was Quincy Jones that said it. You got good music and bad music. And the way you look at it and the way you analyze music or relate to music, understanding that there is good music and bad music. And, you know, for me, AI is another tool. Like Dino says, it's another tool, and you can use it or not. If you don't have skills, like, you know, producers of house music or whatever, they don't have the skill to play the instruments, they will use it. And to me, every advanced technology, I want to know about it, because I realized if you check out, if you're not up to the speed of the knowledge of the innovation, you're out of the game. And doesn't matter what you do. If you're a musician, you're a surgeon, whatever, it's part of the thing. And the way you use it, it's up to you.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at that. And for instance, I changed my acoustic drums for electronic drums, not because I like the electronic drums better, but I can practice more in the evening. There's not the disturbance that I cause is less. So it's a pretty nice innovation that I can use. But I'd rather play with an acoustic drums while I do it live, or a hybrid drum set. So to me, it's the technology. It should work for me. It should not replace my creativity. So that's how I look at it. And actually, we made like a full circle going back to AI with Niki's comment on another imposter. Yeah, it is here. It will now go. It will never go away. If I go to the Matrix and I look at and watch the Matrix again, AI was mentioned there. AI was mentioned there. And when I saw the movie, I think a month ago, I realized that we are being controlled without knowing.
Yeah.
And we are being fed information. And if you're awake, and so like Niki and I having these conversations for 30 years, we can see what's coming because we pay attention and we decide, or let me speak for myself, I decide to take part in certain innovations or not. I make that decision based on my freedom, and most people I'm generalizing now. Most people are just following the herd, and I'm not doing that. I'm really paying attention. What is it? How can I use it? If I cannot use it, it's not going to be part of my lifestyle. So, AI is another tool, and I use it, but I use it whenever it fits me, not the other way. I'm not going to be depending on it. That's my take on it. I'm done.
Okay, I agree with both of you that it's a tool. I agree with both of you that it can be used in a useful way if you're a skilled musician. But like all technologies, when it's released to the masses, it is brought down to its lowest common denominator. Bullshit. It turns into bullshit. You're going to hear a lot of bullshit on the radio because people would use it as a crutch. AI is there because you are either too stupid or too lazy to learn it correctly. So AI will do it for you. And most people are too stupid and too lazy to learn. They will always take the quickest way out. And AI will be reduced to its lowest level because these stupid, lazy people who want to be famous will use it. So everybody's song is going to sound the same. And everybody will accept it because that is the herd. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. I want to make a little comment. Not everybody's talented, And what is talent?
Then get the fuck off the stage.
No. Listen, what is talent? You can sit. I can sit here for a long time and try to explain such a thing. What is talent? You say maybe you're not a talented musician that you can play, but maybe you're very talented to use something to make it work. That's also another talent that, for instance, me as a musician don't have the talent to do so. And maybe I don't have the talent because it's maybe if I would put myself to, I said maybe that I could achieve that too, but it's not it's I don't need it. That's why I don't get into that part, because maybe if I was not talented enough or whatever, then I was trying to look for another way to do it. So that's another way how you can use talent too. I don't mean that AI is good, don't get me wrong. What I want to say, it depends on in what way you use it. And another thing is what Winston said is that you have good music and you have bad music. I don't know if maybe that doesn't exist. Good music or bad music doesn't exist, Winston. What exists is a bad musician or a good musician. You can give a very good musician something to play, and he plays it very nice in his way, but you know, you can let a not good musician, he ruins it. That same piece. Yes. Just as you can give, for instance, a good player a very bad guitar, and he take out the most beautiful tones out of the guitar, and you give a bad player a very nice guitar, and he can't make it sound. I don't know if you're with me, but that's how it works. That's how it works.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree what you just explained. What I was saying about Quincy Jones, he just said it. You got good music and bad music. That's it.
To me, that doesn't exist.
That's his opinion, and I agree with that.
Yes. Why?
But what I want to say is, I just want to go back just a little bit about the AI thing, because as you guys were talking, I just got an idea. Let's bring this to the table, because I think this might be interesting. Let's say if AI is the equivalent of what James Brown and Michael Jackson needed back in the day when they were creating music, because both of them, well, James Brown played a little drums and a little bit of organ, but you know, he didn't really compose his music based on that. He did it from his head, and he dictated to the musicians, and then they played it, right? And Michael Jackson had the same talent. So in a way, if I'm diving into what AI does for people now that don't have the talent to create their own music and play it, how do you guys think about what Michael Jackson and James Brown would have created with AI? just as a thought.
Now, okay, I'm sorry, but I'm very anxious to answer that. The answer is nothing. Nothing. When James Brown pointed to you and went but something in your soul gave you the feeling to bring that out. AI doesn't have that. I will demonstrate. James Brown was told, AI will go, there's a big difference between and that's what AI lacks.
Okay,
have a soul.
I'll jump into that.
It doesn't know where to go.
Let me jump into that. This is what I know about AI now, right? The prompting, the way you feed AI is how it learns. So I know now, with working with AI for a little while, that I could take a James Brown interpretation and tell AI, interpret this, and this is what James would have done, and blah blah blah, to teach AI. Because what I understand about AI, if I work with AI becomes my personal executive assistant, and this personal executive assistant is able to do anything and everything possible to make my idea work. So if I would say to AI, let's say, hey, listen, AI.
Oh, excuse me, one.
Hey, AI, I have to create a song that sounds like James Brown. You know James Brown? AI will say, yeah, I know James Brown. Can you find this music or interpret this feeling that I have emotionally, rhythmically, with cadence? I could feed and teach this AI the way I want it to sound. And where people go wrong with AI nowadays, that I feel, they don't know how to teach the AI to fulfill their inner thoughts. So in my thinking process, you can teach AI what you need based on the information you give AI. Yes, done.
Okay. But you can't teach AI soul. I am using AI right now. I am experimenting with AI, and it can't do it. AI did a weather report album. You can find it on the YouTube. AI did an entire weather report album with Jaco Pastorius on bass and everything. It sounds like weather report, but something's missing. And you can hear it. Everybody hears it. Yeah, it's close, but something's missing. And it will always be missing. Because it doesn't have, I mean, it analyzed weather report. And it came up with the weather report album. But it's not there. Because it cannot reproduce the inner feeling that you have inside.
Yeah.
AI doesn't have feeling. It only duplicates and replicates, but it can't feel.
Okay.
And
finished?
and that's the thing with AI. Like I said, I'm working with AI now, and it will do exactly what I say without the feeling. The feeling is just not there. And I don't think it ever will be there because it doesn't have a soul. I'm done.
Okay. I think I'm 100% that what you both say, and what I'm going to say, I know that you know it, but we sometimes we try to oversee it. A computer is a very clever thing. It's more, let's say they say it's it's not more complex than a human brain. The human brain is so complex, you know. The thing is, it's a machine. If I program the computer wrong, it's going to give me a wrong answer. I'm going to say it in a different thing. You know, all these airplanes, they are filled with all this how you call it, all these computers and stuff like that. You jump in the computer in the airplane and you feed them the wrong coordinates, stuff like that, the plane is going to go wrong. But if you feed them the right thing, it's going to take you where you have to be. That's the technology where upon it is based. And I think that we must not really forget that we are the source. If we don't feed a computer with nothing, it can give us nothing more than that. But what it can do with, I think, like what the AI is doing, it can gather. That's what we like human can do. Otherwise, it would take us so long. It can go all over the world in, let's say, maybe 5 minutes, or depends on, and it take all the information, gather it, and then make something of it. That's I think that's the power of the AI, and that's a human can do it, but it's going to take too much time. Until the take was too long before we gather all that and try to piece it together. And the AI thing can just go and piece it in 5 minutes for you.
That's a nice story, but it doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with what I said.
No, but that's the thing. What it is.
It's like telling me that oranges are orange. That doesn't have anything to do with what I said at all.
What did you say there, Niki?
It has no feeling. I said AI has no
but,
feeling.
But I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I think about the AI. That's what I'm saying. Of course, it's a
Okay,
computer.
well,
A computer and stuff,
then
they
make
don't have no
clear
feeling.
what you're saying, because I was talking about AI having feeling, and then you explaining what AI is.
Okay,
I know what AI is.
Okay, but
I
let
work
me
with
tell you.
computers all day. I
Okay,
know
let me
what
tell you.
AI is.
Okay,
But
let me
I'm
tell
saying
you.
AI has no feeling.
Okay, let me tell you something different. If you play a lick in the computer and it records it, it's going to play the exact feeling what you played, because it's a machine. It replicates you what you're doing. Wrong or right? Am I wrong or right? Otherwise, you must not record in your computer. Then you can go record on the tape. When you play it, you feed it to the computer, you put it in your interface. When it replays exactly what you have played. You give me another thinking about that.
But that depends. That depends on the computer, and it depends on your knowledge of the computer.
No, Niki.
No, let me answer the question.
Okay.
It depends on your computer and your knowledge of the computer. For instance, I can put on Logic and I can play something, but if my buffer size is too small, if I have quantizing on or off,
yeah,
it won't play back exactly what I played.
But that's something else.
No, it's not something else. You
Yes,
assume if you do it, it's going to play it back. No, there's such a thing as latency. There's always latency. There's no such thing as zero latency.
That's
No, there's
something
no
else.
such. Hey, I'm not finished. You're interrupting. Please don't do that. And there's no such thing as zero latency. Latency itself will make the playback different from what you played, because there's latency involved. So the computer will never play back exactly what you played. It's not physically possible.
Why do you use it to record?
Because it's the closest I can get.
No, Niki, believe me, the computer plays back for you what you have put inside.
Dino, I have more knowledge of the computer than you will ever know.
No, but that's nothing.
It does not. It does not. You're speaking about something you really don't know.
No,
I'm a computer expert.
I'm going to
I know what I'm talking
argue
about.
with you because
guys, this doesn't help because we can hear you. So what I want to say about this is you guys are speaking from two different perspectives. And and so what I hear Niki say is when I play it, it doesn't have soul. That's one part. Okay. And Dino is saying what you play is what is going to reproduce to you. Okay, so these are two different subjects. That's why you guys can see eye to eye. What I want to say about this is if I look at AI, the way I think it will develop, the part where Niki start talking about the soul, I think, I'm not sure, but I think it will learn how to reproduce it to the best, and that it will sound the same. When you listen to it, we are in the beginning stages of AI as consumers, and I think give it 2 years, 3 years, you will not recognize it anymore. Why do I say this? Because if I look at commercials being made now, and now commercials are being made with AI, they don't use actors anymore. No, I'm not saying anymore, but they use AI to produce a film, a commercial for hamburgers or whatever. And if you and I would look at it, we will not recognize that it's not AI. So they are progressing with it. And I think it will be at some point in time, you and I as musicians will be exotic because we can play live. We can produce the sounds live. People will come to concerts because the authenticity of being able to produce this thing live with the soul that Nick is talking about. Because AI will be clever enough to make a record and you and I will listen to it. Wow, that's soulful. That sounds great. This is what I think. I'm done.
I can't find myself into that. You know, why I say this is if we take it where it's now, for instance, if it was not reliable, why? Or well, let's use that word. Maybe it's just the. Do you think that they would use it during complicated brain surgery if it's still like that's my question.
So what are you saying? I don't understand your question.
I say if the AI was not that of course everything is making progress, you know, but if AI was not that the way we put it at this moment, why do you think they use the risk to put it already for very complicated brain surgery or certain kind of surgery where it can do it all not almost better than people? That's well known fact at the moment.
Okay, I think we have a misunderstanding. I agree with I'm saying that AI will be getting better and better and better and so much better than the soul that Niki is saying that is missing in AI, that we will get it. That's just what I'm saying. So I'm basically saying it will be innovative enough that you will use it. It will be a daily thing that people will use. We already use it in our telephone. We don't realize it, but I'm saying based on the music, just keep it to the music, because otherwise it's going to be very complicated. I am saying to Niki that I think that the way it is evolving, that what Niki's missing now, that AI doesn't have soul, it will not have soul still. It will not have the soul, but it will be able to copy the soul of a human being in, as we know, in sounding, the feeling, so that we will listen to it as musicians and we say, damn, that he nailed it. This is what I'm saying.
Okay, I'd like to answer Dino's question about AI and brain surgery. Medical science doesn't give a fuck about mistakes. Every vaccine, every form of medicine was performed on people and they died. How do you think they know how the human brain works? They kill somebody and take their brain apart. So that's a very bad example about AI and being reliable. They don't care if you die. They just care about the results. And when at the AI has killed enough people, they can find out what it's doing wrong and correct it. So that's not good. Also, I never said it's unreliable. I said it doesn't have soul. There's a difference between, hey, what are the rules? What are the rules? I'm not finished. Why do you keep breaking the rules? I'm not finished. Why do you keep breaking the rules? I'm not finished. When I'm finished, I will say I'm done. Stop breaking the rules. Now,
I haven't said anything.
If you are breaking the rules, I'm not done. AI will never have soul. It will never be able to duplicate the human soul. There's nothing to do about its reliability and other things. But as far as medicine is concerned, that's why they call it practicing medicine, because they are practicing on people, and many people die until they get the right results. And believe me, AI has killed many people before they got their brain surgery right. Now I'm done.
Oh, it's silent. Well,
not silent.
Okay.
I thought maybe you want to say something.
Yeah, I'll give it my best shot. See, this is why the conversation gets complicated, because I wanted to separate those two remarks based on the soul and the reliability. I don't those are two different things, and we should not collude those things, because otherwise this conversation doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know.
I'm saying, Niki, soul is something you I know AI will never have soul, period.
Can't have.
That's impossible for a machine to have a soul. That's what I know. What I'm saying, it will be able to copy that thing that we call soul in sounding in music, because we're talking about music. That somebody that listens, if I would listen to a James Brown or let's call Otis Redding song with a lot of soul, as we call it in music, and then I think that AI will be able to reproduce the sound that we can listen to and say, wow, that sounds soulful. This is what I'm saying. I'm done.
Yeah, but where does that soul come from?
From it being fed as a prompt with examples, you should sound like this, but then make a new song for me, sounding like this. This is what you do with AI.
Okay, and as I said, it's a machine. It's a dead. Let's say it's a dead body. We feed it as human, and it can. And I don't know if you can want to call it the soul of heaven, because everything time you can say, you can sing the same thing in a different way, then you can say, oh man, oh, it's not a soul, my soul. It can reproduce the thing. You can sing one line 100 times. It's going to produce it for you. But what it comes at the same time, it comes from you as a human who feeds it. I think it's very difficult to put a finger on this. It's as I say, it's a machine, and just as I say, by my example as I give, if you why do you use the computer? Then you use the computer because it replicates what you are doing, and then you can say, oh man, well, it doesn't because it no, you play it, and otherwise you say, okay, it doesn't sound the thing, then I don't use it. I throw the machine away and I buy a 16-track machine and I record on that. Just like you can say, like, a computer will never give the same kind of effect, like the warm feeling, like analog machine has. Even what they've tried, they make plugins, stuff like that. The plugins will never sound like a Fox AC30 or a Hi-Hat in your ears. The people who don't have something like that can say, oh yeah, man, it sounds like that, but it will never sound like it. It's just, yeah, a program thing. It's it can never be. Even if you check this, even if you put 2 Hi-Hats or 2 Foxes or 2 guitars, from the same brand, you play, they don't even sound the same. It's what you put in it, and it's just the same. What you put, if you put that Fender guitar, the machine sound like that. You don't want to hear something else. You put that guitar, if you put that amp, you're going to hear it. So it's just a technological thing. It's going to reproduce what you put in it, and it's always going to stay like that. Otherwise, don't use it. So, and if you use it in the best way you can do it. I'm done. Okay, I'm done.
I'm glad you know the process now. Good.
Oh, what you mean? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm learning, Niki. I'm learning.
You're like AI.
Yeah, AI. I understand.
They're teaching how the protocol works when you and I talk. But okay, so I have to go and have some food.
Yeah, me too. I got a steak to cook, and AI ain't gonna do shit for us.
But
but the AI can do it for you. Niki, you know that they produce they can produce a gun for you. They make even food with computers. You know all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So
in America, they have made legal laboratory meat. Legal. You can 3D print a steak now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's
that's
crazy.
a whole
Okay, you gotta go
that's a whole
eat. I
different
gotta go
topic.
eat.
I gotta go, guys. Thanks for the conversation. I live streamed it to YouTube, my YouTube channel, so you guys know. And Nikki, this is what we wanted to do, right? We'll be doing this for 30 years on Skype first, and then we started doing.
Wait,
And
wait. You ain't going to. You're not streaming this, huh?
of course, I'm streaming. I told you.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Your ass interrupted is on camera.
I told you I'm streaming this at the beginning. But just to so
Okay.
this is the idea, right? This conversation I'm having with Nikki every day almost, and we decided last week, you know what? Let's start recording this conversation because there are so many topics we can talk about, but it's great. And then we relate it to Jimmy and talk about the music and then build something, kind of people that are interested in, well, our minds, but most of all our music. So Dino, welcome. Welcome to
Well,
the
if I really knew that you were streaming it, I would choose my words and think of
no
my.
no no
Not
no.
that I've said it badly.
No,
Don't
this
get me
ain't
wrong.
acting. This ain't acting school. No, you gotta come correct.
You gotta come correct. You gotta
This
come
ain't
Okay,
correct.
this
but
ain't
next
acting
time,
school.
next time I'm going to do it another way because I'm just relaxing. I'm just saying something, you know.
We're just relaxing as well, but this is how we talk. We don't filter. This is what I
No,
like about our.
yeah. Dino want to come. Yeah, let me prepare what I'm gonna say so I can look cool. No, hell no. This is
Oh,
what
it's
you
not that
feel.
way.
No, listen, it's okay.
It's
Anyway,
cool, man.
you're welcome to join us anytime when we have these conversations. But know that this is unfiltered. We speak our minds, we speak from the truth, and we let each other speak. And so it's clear when we're done. And sometimes, we can get off track and get heated, but we go back to being civil. So thanks for joining, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Good one. See you guys later.
Another
Okay.
guy.
The only thing I would like to say, I'm going to whoop your ass, Nikki. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, that's a new topic. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
I'm sorry, Winston.
No,
I have to say it.
I'm good. Bye bye.